History has always been shaped by war, and through the ages, some battles have decided the fate of nations and still affect the way we live today. These are the great battles. In 1690, James II landed in Ireland in an attempt to retake the British throne by the back door. William III and 37,000 troops drafted in from all over Europe were determined to stop him. The two kings came face to face at the Battle of the Boyne. Few military encounters have caused such controversy as the Battle of the Boyne, fought by this peaceful Irish river over 300 years ago. King William's victory is still celebrated by the Orangemen every July. For some, his win guaranteed the liberties we enjoy today. For others, it ushered in centuries of oppression for Catholics. In reality, this great battle was a bitter struggle for control of the destiny of Europe between two great figures of the 17th century. Although victory secured the British throne for William, this was not his main aim. William was never to return to Ireland, nor did he ever visit Scotland, and was rarely in England. The real significance of this great battle was that it dealt a blow to his arch-enemy, Louis XIV of France, with whom he was fighting for control of Europe. As William slept here at Mellifont Abbey on the eve of the battle, he was under no illusions as to what was at stake. Louis XIV, France's vain and ambitious son-king, was as determined as Napoleon and Hitler after him to completely dominate Europe. And it was to be a Europe cast in his image, obedient, fearful, but above all Catholic. And to back that ambition, he had a French army of almost 250,000 men. Louis was to reign for 72 years, and in the process transformed France into the most powerful country in the Western world. He was in an almost constant state of war with his European neighbours. Resistance to Louis centred around William of Orange. He was a slightly built man, stooped and plagued by asthma. However, he was an accomplished military commander and was widely regarded as a hero for recovering the Netherlands from France. He helped create an alliance of both Protestant and Catholic states in an attempt to thwart Louis's ambitions. Gaining control of Britain's military resources was the key to William's strategy to defeat Louis. Although a Dutchman, William had a strong connection to the British throne. His mother Mary was King James II's sister, and in 1672 he had married James's eldest daughter, Mary, who was next in line to the throne. James was both William's uncle and his father-in-law. But James had his own agenda. He attempted to reassert his absolute authority over English Parliament and re-Catholicize England. He was tolerated because these absolutist policies were expected to end with Mary's accession. However, in June 1688, James had a son and heir, thereby guaranteeing a Catholic succession. English Protestants were appalled, and Parliament invited Mary and William to restore Protestant rule. When William landed in England with 15,000 troops, James's support rapidly melted away and he was forced to flee the country. With James exiled in France, William and Mary were crowned in February 1689. Their coronation became known as the Glorious Revolution and was based on a new form of contract between the monarchy and its subjects. William and Mary reigned not by the principle of divine right, but by the will of the people as expressed by Parliament. The Grand Alliance could now seriously challenge Louis's dominance in Europe. But the story wasn't over.
Louis knew that William had an Achilles heel in Ireland, and he was determined to exploit it to bring the alliance to its knees. He would use James and his Jacobite supporters to do it.
1 month after William and Mary's coronation, James II landed in Kinsale with a large contingent of French troops. He went straight to Cork and joined up with his deputy, Richard Talbot, Earl of Tyrconnell. On James's behalf, Tyrconnell had assembled an army that controlled Ireland with the exception of small parts of Ulster. But it soon became clear that James's objectives differed from those of his Irish allies. The Irish Catholics had been gradually removed from power and had seen their lands confiscated by Oliver Cromwell in 1649. They hoped James would repeal the anti-Catholic laws and restore their lands and liberties. However, James saw Ireland as a stepping stone to his restoration in England and could not afford to alienate his English supporters by giving away too many concessions. James's progress through Ireland caused deep concern in the English Parliament. If Ireland be lost, warned one MP, England will follow. But they hadn't counted on the resolve of William's supporters in Ulster. The Protestant strongholds of Londonderry and Inniskillen stubbornly refused to yield to the Jacobites. James's army surrounded both towns, but the Ulstermen launched a series of counterattacks and eventually broke the sieges.
The victory of the Ulstermen gave William and the alliance the break they needed. If they could now defeat James in Ireland, the back door for an invasion to England would be slammed shut. But if the alliance lost, Europe would fall to France.
William sent a Protestant French general to Ireland to hunt James down. Marshal Schomberg's landing in Ulster in August 1689 brought the number of William's troops in Ireland to 20,000. His arrival caused panic in Dublin, and James even considered returning to France. However, he eventually decided to advance to Drogheda and gave word for Tyrconnell to follow him with the Jacobite army. He ordered some of his men to delay Schomberg by breaking up the roads and laying waste to the countryside around Newry. But fortunately for James, the onset of winter brought Schomberg's army to a halt. Over the course of the following months, the condition of Schomberg's troops severely deteriorated. Bad weather and poor organisation led to starvation and disease, which resulted in the deaths of almost half of his men.
William's European crusade was now under serious threat, and his personal intervention was required. He assembled a new invasion force to crush James in Ireland.
Doubting the loyalty of England's regular army, William created new English regiments. He recruited Protestant Huguenots who'd been forced to leave France by Louis. More soldiers came from Denmark, Germany and Scotland. Combined with his supporters in Ulster and his own Dutch troops, the total number of men under William's command came to 37,000.
To keep this massive international army on the go, William implemented truly modern support systems, such as a portable field hospital, a logistics train that used over 2,500 horses, even a portable house designed by Christopher Wren for his own personal comfort in the field.
Other innovations were to have a more deadly impact.
The 17th century saw the introduction of a major new development in firearms technology. The matchlock musket, which had played such a decisive role at the Battle of Marston Moor during the English Civil War, was being superseded by this weapon, the flintlock musket. Nicknamed the doglock because of its safety catch, or dog, which held the action at half cock, the charge, which would be placed in here, was ignited by sparks from the flint rather than the smouldering match on the older muskets. As a result, the flintlock is an eminently more reliable weapon than the matchlock. Not only is it better suited to the wet, rainy conditions typical of Ireland, but armed with this firearm, a soldier could also double his rate of fire. Another innovation of the time was the introduction of the bayonet onto the battlefield, a long steel dagger which was inserted into the end of the musket. Although later models went around the end of the musket rather than in it, the bayonet essentially marked the end of the pike and is still used in conjunction with the rifle of the modern infantryman.
The new flintlock muskets were almost exclusive to William's army. In stark contrast, James's troops were severely lacking in equipment. They had some of the old matchlock muskets, but many of his men were limited to fighting with scythes, spears, or even their bare hands. However, what James's troops lacked in firepower, they more than made up for with sheer fighting spirit. The Battle of the Boyne was a truly European affair. Like William, James's troops came from countries as diverse as Finland, France, and Germany. With so many nations represented, confusion over troops' identity reigned in the smoke and heat of battle. The Jacobites took to wearing white cockades of